Hello, everybody. This is Brad Swift. I write under the name of W. Bradford Swift, and I am the author of the Zach Bates Eco Adventure series. And this is going to be a brief recap of the sections of the book that we have already read in the Zach Bates Eco Adventure Readup series itself, so that anyone who's coming on board at our next one will be able to catch up real quickly and continue to enjoy the story. So, in the first chapter, we meet members of what is to become the Eco Adventure Team. The story starts off with young Zach Bates cleaning out the cages of his small private zoo, while his Karen Terrier canine friend Angus, well, he grows bored, waiting for Zach, so he runs across the street to the park to chase squirrels. Unfortunately, he doesn't check for traffic on the way back, and he's struck by a car. Zach and his mother, Kalida, rushes Angus to Dr. George's hospital, where Zach meets both Dr. George and her daughter, Allison. It's also where he meets a mangy black cat who introduces herself as Racket, the last living magic cat. Introduces herself? Yes, that's right. She can talk, though she's careful to hide it from anyone other than Zach. She convinces Zach that she can save Angus's life, but only if he promises to agree to do something for her. But she won't say what the something is. Finally, in desperation, Zach agrees, and sure enough, Racket performs some amazing magic that brings Angus back from the edge of death. After Zach leaves, Racket walks through the wall. Remember, she's a magic cat. Walks through the wall of the hospital to meet her traveling companion Samson, who is a giant black dog, kind of like a Newfoundland type dog, if you know what they are. And Samson berates her for how she has blackmailed Zach to help them on their mission. But what's the mission? Well, at this point, neither Zach or we know yet. Now, the morning after the accident, Zach is eating a breakfast of pancakes and OJ and casually looks over at his dad's newspaper sitting on the table next to him when he sees this headline that says, Environmental Summit to Address Global Warming, Opposition Mounts. Now, Zach doesn't normally pay much attention to the news, but as an owner of a zoo, even a small one, this headline catches his attention. News about global warming seems to be everywhere, he thinks. Also, he thinks that his dad's work at Consolidated Enterprises must have something to do with the environment, so he reads a little further. We also learn that Zach, well, he's shy around girls and not looking forward to starting school in a new location. Unfortunately, his luck turns bad, or even you could say gets worse, when one of the school bullies picks him up and warns him to stay away from the one person that Zach knows and likes, Allie George, the veterinarian's daughter. Now, if that's not bad enough, Zach then learns what Racket, the magic cat, really expects him to do. And this is direct from the book itself. Well, what is it, Zach asks. You are to represent us, and by that I mean all the animals of the world, Racket said, then paused again. Yes, represent you how? Where? Zach asked, as he felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand at attention. At the United Nations, at the Environmental Summit. You are to take our mandate before the world leaders. You are to persuade them to cease the careless and needless poisoning of our planet. You are to make sure they understand the animals who they share this planet with will no longer stand for such carelessness. Now, Zach can't believe his ears and is completely baffled how she could make such a request or think he'd be able to accomplish the task. But Racket is insistent that Zach is the only one who can pull this off, of course, with her help. She then orders him to return the next morning to start the mission. And no matter what Zack says, Readup won't budge. So he finally agrees to come back the next day. Now, we then picked up the story on the next Readup on Saturday morning as Zack bicycled back to the animal hospital as Readup had instructed him. There, Zack meets Reacut's sidekick, Samson, the huge Newfoundland, who is a lot friendlier and easier to get along with than Reacup. Turns out Samson has his own special powers that actually come from his partnership with Reacup. Samson can fly, and he becomes Zack and Reacut's primary mode of transportation. But to where? Well, to start, they need to go to the spiritual frontier where Zack is to meet the Council of Animals, who, according to Reacup, are the ruling spirits of the animal kingdom. Now, to reach the spiritual frontier, Zack and Reacup climb on Samson's back, and they then fly into a hippo-shaped cloud. It turns out to be a pretty grueling trip, but they finally are through it. But now they have to find an island, actually an island that floats in the sky where the council resides. During their travels, Zack learns that Reacup had failed to mention to him that the council is meeting with him so that they can hear his plan for how to persuade the leaders of the world to stop polluting the planet. Unfortunately, Zack has no such plan and is now regretting he ever agreed to this mission. Okay, so you might notice change of shirts. So we are going to continue the recap to give you an update for our next Readup itself. And we're going to begin with the fact that Reacup and Zack and all have left the spiritual frontier. And Reacup decides that she needs to take Zack on a tour of some of the worst examples of humankind's assault on the planet and its devastating effect on the animals of the world. To visit all these distant locations, they must resort to warping, which is a magical way to move around the Earth quickly. Unfortunately, as Zack learns, it turns out warping has its own set of dangers. They exit the warp less than 50 feet above a dense forest of trees. They skim along the tops of the trees like a dive bomber out of control. Samson fought with all of his strength to stay above the trees, but with each passing second, it becomes clear they are going to dive into the forest. Now, Zack finds himself pulling on the thick nap of Samson's neck as though he's about to lose control of a non-responsive stick in an airplane. And that takes us through about chapter 8. Now, while in the Amazon, Zack learns that his father is much more involved in the rainforest devastation than he ever imagined. And Zack narrowly escapes the workers into the Amazon forest, but in the process is separated from Reacup and Samson. He awakens to find himself back at home, very disoriented and wondering if it had all been a dream. He goes downstairs to have breakfast with his dad and stepmother, and in the process, Zack's conversation with his dad, Wendell, has Wendell begin to question his own decisions and the career path, only to be sharply reprimanded by his boss at Consolidated Enterprise. Now, Zack begins to think that everything he's experienced must be a bad dream, but finally decides it had to be real. And at the same time, he realizes he's running out of time to keep his promise to the Council of the Spiritual Frontier, so he takes on a bus trip to New York City, sneaking Angus, his canine companion, on with him. And they're about to arrive in New York City, and that's where we'll pick it up. Looking forward to being with you very soon. Take care.